Welcome to Channel 8 TV, live here at Channel 8 TV studios in Federal Way, Washington. If you're joining us right now from all over the world, we welcome you and thank you for being a part of our story. And today is a very important day because we have our brother here. Brother Fred is originally from Ghana and he's one of the heads for the team, all of our team here in the state of Washington, or rather in the diaspora, that's in charge of the diaspora, for the upcoming Africa Games. And it's an exciting moment for us because we have a voice to tell, and Africa is not forgotten. We might have left Africa a long time ago, but we're still here, right? We're still Africans.
That's right. That's right.
So shout out to the All Africa Games executive team for letting us be a part of it, even though we are in the diaspora. But I welcome you, brother. Thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank you, Davis. It's great to be here.
I love your shirt. I love.
Thank you.
You know, it's you brought it all the way from Ghana, right?
Yes.
So speak a little bit about what's All Africa Games from your perspective.
Yeah, baby. Hey, it's great to be here. Yeah. Hello, everyone. You know, Ghana has been at the head of African Games program since the 1960s.
Yes.
The very first one was 1965.
Right.
And we're very excited that Ghana gets to host the African Games for the very first time.
Absolutely.
This is the 13th edition, right?
Yeah.
March 8th through the 23rd this year.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting time to be an African,
yes,
to be a Ghanaian.
Regardless of which team.
Regardless of what team, we are one big team,
that's right.
with the African Union. 54 countries descending on the shores of Ghana. And so it's very exciting. As you know that I just got back from Accra last week. These were shirts that were printed from the local organizing committee. I spent some time with the chairman of the local organizing committee, Dr. Kweku Fuswasari.
Yes.
Excellent team there at the Secretariat at Abilinkpe. They have done a phenomenal job. The Boteman Sports Complex is an incredible edifice out there. And so Ghana is ready to host this from what I've seen. Excellent enthusiasm from everyone.
Absolutely.
It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And for those of you that are watching it confused, sometimes you're seeing it says 2023. It's because you can explain that better than I can. It's because you were supposed to be done, but COVID kind of messed up, the timing of things.
Right. So my understanding, and I don't want to speak for the LOC, but my understanding is just like how in a couple of years ago the Japan Olympics, for example, had to be moved because of COVID. They still have to maintain the year since it happens every 4 years or every 2 years, depending on what competition. So the 2023 is the official year, but because of COVID, got moved a year later.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you have a background in sports, right? And you have a long history in athletics in general.
Right.
And so this moment for you, what does it mean? What are you looking forward to seeing when the Africa Games come around? Are you looking forward to seeing more soccer, as we know it, football we call it back home, or are you looking for taekwondo or basketball? What are you looking forward to?
Oh, Davis, you got to put me on the spot, right? You know that Africans love sports. Yes. So I love all kinds of sports. Actually, my very favorite, like the world's most popular, is soccer, obviously. Yeah. Football in the United States, like we call it. But my engagement in sports, as you mentioned, dates back a few decades. Back in Ghana when I was with Sports Consult, we did a lot of sports marketing and engagement with private sports and public sports organizations. I was part of a group of great folks who did great for the development of sports in Ghana. Okay. And that was eons ago. And so when the LOC representative was here in the US, I met with a few people. They asked that, hey, how are you guys going to support the games from diaspora? And you were one of the folks who jumped right in. Right. Big guy, you cover the NFL, the Grammys, the White House. Yeah. So it was such an exciting time to say yes. We're all going to jump in and help. So today, you and I have been with the folks here going to Ghana from the Taekwondo, the kids training here in Velocity Taekwondo. Excellent team going to represent different countries in Africa. In a nutshell, I'm happy that we've done what we can in terms of getting the diasporans engaged and wanting to go to Ghana, to be a part of this. all of the world is going to be there. Not just those on the venues at the different venues. University of Ghana, Legon is one of the big brand new stadiums that was built for the event. Excellent work with the transportation of sportsmen and women across the country. Great work with Adanse Travel. They're going to do some local tours and so on. And then, of course, there's going to be some cultural events like Aquab at night, for example.
And I'm looking forward to that. You know, the traditional aspect of it for me, it really showcases different countries, you know, when they host the All Africa Games. You know, I look forward to, you know, the opening night, you know, when, you know, the parade happens with different nations wearing the traditional colors and stuff. To me, that's what I look forward to. You know, coming from Africa and belonging to a couple of different countries, you know, growing up in Zambia and Malawi as well, you know, I'm torn on which country I can support. Which country are you supporting?
Well, you're going to have to support Ghana, right? I mean, you know that Ghana is not just hosting this. Ghana has been a pioneers of the African Games. Africa, as we know, those of us who live in the diaspora, we are Africans because to some extent, people see Africa as one country, right? Even though it's a continent. Long story. Totally. That's the whole different conversation. But but I'm rooting for all the countries, to be honest. I mean, Ghana is the host country. My heart is with Ghana, where I'm originally from. But, you know, Zambia is a force to reckon with. I just, you and I were talking about the women's soccer, you know, Zambia beating the Black Queens. We talked about Kalusha Bualia.
Like, oh my goodness, we used to kill Ghana forever.
Right. So
shout out to Zambians that are watching.
That's right.
You know, Zambia has a long history, and they seem to have you know, a pattern of, you know, grooming good players for a period of time. Africa in general. And so I'm looking forward to Africa exporting a lot more players, not just on the soccer side, but also different types of sports into the United States. The NFL right now is moving into Africa heavy, as you know. We cover the NFL. We just came back from the NFL, and shout out to the NFL for giving a brother like myself and my team an opportunity to cover all these high-level access, you know, for the NFL, covering the games. You know how difficult it is to do that. But for some reason, they trust these Africans to be in the building. So that's a good thing. Shout out to the NFL. But moving right along, what has been some of the challenge when it comes to, you know, infrastructure? Because, you know, they had to build some of the infrastructures to make sure that the players are in housing is in one location, and then so the families will be housed somewhere else. So what does that create in terms of the hardships in transportation and movement?
Well, I have to say, I mean, there's always room for improvement, right? We do need a better sports development program on the continent of Africa. You have seen through your travels around the world how things get commercialized and how investments go in and how ROIs get achieved. I was listening to the chairman of the LOC a few days ago during an interview on Joy Sports, where he mentioned a plan for the Boteman Sports Complex, for example, to be transformed into a university and having a great maintenance plan to make sure it grows. So excellent. Those are some of the ideas. The challenges have been maintenance, growth, and development. As you know, I've spearheaded quite a few initiatives here from the United States to try and take more investments to Ghana and in Africa. And I'm very excited that the African Games gives us a platform for continuing to advance those arguments and get more people engaged. So, I mean, if you're watching this, corporate sponsorship is huge in Africa now. And I think the more we engage private investment in sports development, especially for those who want to develop the sport in Africa and bring it over here, I think the timing is right for Africa to get in there, and we could use all the investment we can. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And even some of the folks that we work with here, the athletes, you know, the celebrities and stuff like that, it's a huge opportunity. And I remember the year of the return, and Ghana was one in the middle of all that. So we facilitated some of the folks to go back to Africa, specifically Ghana, to be a part of. I know a little bit more about Ghana now than I used to know when I was in the continent, because we had the opportunity I have a team in Ghana, by the Cape Coast, a media team that I've never even met, but I sponsor these kids to make sure that you know, the broadcasting aspect of it is promoted across the continent of Africa. Because if we don't tell our own stories, somebody else will. And
That's
it's
right.
always never the right story.
Right.
You know? And so as we transition on, you know, what do you see the future of All Africa Games? Because as we know it, it's almost like the Olympics for Africans.
Right.
So what does the future look like for All Africa Games?
Davis, you know, you've asked a very excellent question. We've always talked about sports development, and we always have the perspective of those of us who saw where it was a few decades ago,
Yeah.
and then where we see the trend now, right? With the advent of social media, with the advent of more investment
Right.
of money into sports. I think the future for African sports is very bright. One of the very good stories about where Africa is headed is our own investment on the people who've left the continent
Yes.
to practice their trade and sports in the diaspora, for example. I mean, here in Seattle, where the Sounders are,
Yeah.
shout out to the Sounders FC
and the
team,
LMS,
and you know, for facilitating some of what we've done also.
Yeah.
But that kind of direct investment by those who've moved up here in the diaspora
Yeah.
will continue to give us hope of some of these investments being repatriated back
Yeah.
to the African continent to help develop sports in Africa, right?
Yeah.
You have been at the forefront of and a big voice for growth of African sports.
Thank you.
Every platform that
Yeah.
you've had at the highest levels,
Right.
you know, and I've seen you do that. And, you know, it's great that you're championing some of these courses. And I think
appreciate that.
those of us who are watching in admiration and getting the opportunity like this are hopeful that we will do more and more of these, more African games. It has to get better and better and better. Ghana's effort, big kudos to the president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for and the LOC team and the Ministry of Sports for the work they've done. Some folks didn't think that Ghana was going to be able to host this, right? You've seen those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Right.
that's a real concern because I
Right.
was looking at the time, the
Right.
timing of things, and I'm looking at March coming around. I'm like, wait a minute now. You
Right.
know how, but you know, they put it through.
They did.
And
They
like
did.
you said, shout out to
Excellent
the
work.
president of Ghana for making sure that things came together.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
You know, he was, you've seen the media reports. He's
Yeah.
been at the forefront of this. Big shout out to the African Games LOC at
chairman.
Abelegbe,
The
you know,
chairman
the
who was
chairman,
with us
Dr.
in Seattle.
Right, Dr. Kweku Swasare, excellent guy, and his team out there, incredible folks. Everywhere that I went in the country, everybody was really fired up.
Yeah.
They don't have working hours. They're just on the clock consistently, you know. Everybody trying to do their very best to pitch in for the game. So the future of African Games is great, you know, and I think we will continue to support the best way we can, regardless of who's hosting it, you know, going forward.
And there's room for growth, like you said.
Yes.
You know, I had the privilege, like you said, we covered, you know, the Grammys, and it's just the most recent Grammys.
Right.
I met folks from Ghana, and I had a conversation with Rocky Dawuni.
Right.
You know him well. He's
Yeah.
from Ghana.
Right.
And everybody is ready to move forward to support causes such as these.
Right.
You know, but for people that are feeling like, you know, I didn't get the information on time,
Right.
or I want to learn more, or I want to invest, or I want to, you know, support the movement.
Right.
You know, where should people go to join the movement?
That is a fantastic question. So really what you need to do is just, I don't like giving URLs because people jumble those up. So you can just Google the African Games 2023, or you can Google LOC Ghana or African Sports Ghana. You can Google any of these and it will take you to the LOC site. You can actually type in Africa Games 2020, Accra 2023 as well, and that will get you to the LOC site. The LOC has a bunch of sponsors on there that you can read about their preparations and videos and so on. We've also, as you know, the Diaspora team is currently in talks with Ivy Prosper, who is a phenomenal person helping with a lot of promotions for Ghana. We've talked to the Afi Antonio Foundation, for example, who are also trying to do their best to try and help raise awareness and support for it as well. Diaspora Travel, I mentioned that Dance Travel, they came up with a great creative for local tours for people who visit Ghana. So Adanse Travel and Tours, if you Google that as well, there's a link there that you can read more about Ghana, the country. Some folks come to Ghana, and of course the games are the games, but there's also a ton more to see in Ghana. Accra Events is another good place to go online.
Accra Events.
Accra Events. That's right. Where to go, what to eat. I don't know where the conversation about jollof rice is right now, but let's.
I mean, that's a whole different, debate we can get into.
That's
Which
right.
one is the better jollof?
Better jollof.
Is
it Nigerian, Zambian, or Ghana? We don't know.
I think we can just say whoever wins the Africa. I think that's the only solution we can
That's
come
right.
to,
That's
it's
right.
always hard for us to come with a conclusion when it comes to the continent.
That's
because
right.
we are so blessed with different gifts. Each
Right.
country has is full of a lot of wealth and knowledge and tradition and wisdom that's been passed from generation to generation. So I'm looking forward to going to Ghana, God willing, to make sure that I reconnect with some of my friends. Shout out to Honorable Kenneth Agapong. Some of our friends that we know there. I've known them because they come to the diaspora, and so that's a great opportunity to reconnect. Even the king in the Cape Coast, So I'm looking forward to seeing Nana. I'm sure he's gonna come to the game. So as we close down, I want to give you the opportunity to speak to your people, and if you need to speak in Tree, you can do that. If you want to encourage the people, those who are doubtful to show up at the games, I want to give you the opportunity for you to encourage them. What would you say before we close?
Thank you. So with English first, really, this is a huge opportunity. As the chairman of the LOC continues to reiterate, this is time for everybody to jump in and showcase the best of what we have in Africa. Africa is a cultural, a very friendly continent. We love sports, we love family, and we love fun, right? So this is the time. The world is converging again. 54 countries from across the continent. Globally, there are folks coming from the United States, from Europe, from Asia, from all parts of the world. So this is a huge opportunity. Let's showcase our country well, and let's represent our country well in all aspects of what we do, because we definitely have the opportunity to do that. I'm a Ga. And I also have a lot of Akan. So I'll just say Ghana real quick and then Tree. No, my family, yo, Jele, me family, Mba, Ghana, host African Games, say March 8th to 23rd. Neken bine ami jibe ni wabanye ni wo fan wo bole kutu wakpe ni wo fan wo nye wo ma se ke Africa fan se. And now in Tree, obia oba African Games no. Woti America, woti Europe, baby woti bia ye nyina elko Ghana March 8th through 23rd. Elko chesi ye sportsmen and women elko support you bia na ye be diagro na ya hwekrom na ya peja Ghana ama Ghana so atumpon ewo baby a ewo bia. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Davies, and thank you again for representing the whole continent. I know you're Zambian from originally, but you never only talk about Zambia. You always carry the torch for all of Africa. So thank you for the work you're doing here in Seattle, in Washington State, United States of America. It's a great representation for your brothers and sisters.